My name is Bohdan Korablov. I'm software engineer from Cloud team, and today I would like to tell you about new features which we added the last two releases Magenta Cloud Docker. The first one is we added support for the Magenta split database performance solution. As you know, Magenta supports split solutions for database, and it means that checkout, orders, and product data can use as separate databases that you can optionally replicate. This separation independently scales load from websites, checkouts, order management activities, website browsing, and merchandising activities, depending on your needs. These changes provide considerable flexibility in how the database tier can be scaled. So now you can use this solution on our Docker during development. You need just to edit only 3 files to use it. You need to add new database to Magenta service YAML. Then you need to add new relationships to Magenta app YAML, and you need to add split environment variable into Magenta and YAML file. And then just run Docker as usually, and EC tools will configure Magenta to use these split database solutions. Next, we added the ability to use our Docker for development not only for Magenta Cloud. For example, if you have on-prem project, you can use our Docker too. You just need to add EC tools to just run composer require Magenta EC tools and provide needed version. And you need to add file Magenta Docker YAML. You can see example on the presentation. This file describes needed services, hooks, mounts, and Magenta mode, for example, production. And just run Docker as usually, generate Docker compose YAML file, run build, deploy, and post-deploy phases. And you can use Docker. Also, we added Blackfire support. So if you use Blackfire to test performance, now you can use it on Docker. To configure it, you can use the same steps from documentation for like cloud environment. I provided this link for this documentation. There are some images updates. Now Varnish is default page cache. Also, we added MySQL database before we used only MariaDB. And now you can configure offset and increment for database. We added support PHP 7.4. Also, you can configure PHP using PHP init file in root folder. We added new version Elasticsearch, and also you can configure these containers. We added no Elasticsearch option, so if you don't need Elasticsearch containers, you can use these options, and Docker Compose YAML file will not contain configuration for Elasticsearch containers. Also, you can use Xdebug for debugging and profiling. As I remember, next presentation will be about Xdebug on Magenta Cloud Docker. Then we updated CLI commands. First two commands, it's helpful command to clear cache for Redis and page cache. And next commands you can use if you need Varnish. For example, if you run this command, Magenta Cloud Docker Compose YAML will not contain configuration for Varnish. So let's check. Varnish, yes. Docker Compose YAML doesn't have this configuration. Next command, options Elasticsearch and variable. So if you need, you can set needed variable environments for Elasticsearch. For example, this command will add variable test for Elasticsearch containers. Yes, as you see, Elasticsearch containers has environment test 1, 2, 3. Next variable, next option, sorry, is no Elasticsearch. So if you don't need Elasticsearch containers, you can generate configuration without this container.
Yeah.
So yes, Elasticsearch. So Docker Compose YAML doesn't have configuration regarding this container. Next options, it's for configuration database. So you can choose version for database and image, MySQL or MariaDB. For example, you can use to provide version 5.6 and image MySQL. So let's check database configuration. Yeah, MySQL and version 5.6. The next is options to specify hostname and port. It's very helpful if you run our Docker from multiple instances. So you can run this command. Oh. And this option sets host test.dev and port 8081. 8081, yes. So web container has ports 8081 and virtual host test.dev. Next options is for configuration xdebug. So if you run this command, you can see the new container PHP FPM with xdebug. One moment, xdebug here. Yes, xdebug. Yeah. PHP FPM xdebug. This container is used for debugging, and variable xdebug should be set with xdebug 1. And next, last options is for configuration database. For example, this option with entry point. If you use these options, Docker Compose YAML file will contain path for entry point with your database dump. Yes, this one. If you put into this directory some database dump and then run Docker, our Docker is automatically put data from this dump into your database. And last option is with MariaDB-conf. Using these options, you can provide some custom configuration for database. Yes, you can see path for custom configuration. You can find example configuration directory mariadb-conf.d, where you can provide any custom configuration for database in this file. Also, we have a bunch fixes and updates, like we added health check for a lot of containers. Now synchronization mode is native for developer mode. We increase a fastGI buffer value for Nginx server, added the second mutagen sync session to synchronize files in the vendor directory. We updated PHP CLI image configuration to prevent out-of-memory errors. Updates default configuration to support mailhook service instead of send mail. We update default configuration to remove automatic mounting of database entry point. Also, we fixed mutagen and PHP FPM configuration, fixed volume conflicts when you're using multiple Docker environments, fixed an issue during Docker compose generation if configuration includes Blackfire extension, added support for multiple MySQL users, and remove rsyslog from the from Magenta Cloud Docker containers. And also many thanks to the community for their contribution to the development of our Magenta Cloud Docker. So that's all, guys. Thank you. Maybe some question. It looks like we finished it.
Okay, thanks for presentation, Bohdan, and I'll be stopping the recording. If anyone has questions later, please ping Bohdan on Slack. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.